my name is Normandy, and I will be interviewing my mom. Say hi, Mom. Say hey.
Hey.
So I'll be interviewing my mom for this interview because she's been a registered nurse for 30 years, and she's a great person to do this interview. Okay.
Alrighty.
So this is going to be 10 questions.
Okay.
Here we go again.
Alrighty.
This is the second take, but whatever. This will be 10 questions. Just kind of go with the flow. It's not, anything crazy. So
Okay.
we got this.
Alrighty.
What are some positives and negatives about this career?
The positives are taking care of people and having that rapport with people, being able to not only help them with their health, but because you're listening and they're talking to you, and that you're able to take care of them in sometimes a very scary situation when you're working med-surg, which is the medical and surgery unit. A lot of people are very fearful, and so you're also giving them medical medicines and the IV and all that. So they're very fearful, and like I said, you take care of them, you explain what's happening to them with things that they're not familiar with at all. So it's the caring part of nursing and taking care of them. I hate to say sacrifice, because I don't really think it's a sacrifice. It's an occupation I chose, and I feel like not only they get the benefit, but I get the benefit.
So you would say that caring is a positive and a negative?
The negative would be learning how to not take nursing home with you.
Ooh.
Especially if there's nothing that you can do at work. You did the best you could, but to take that home and trying to second guess yourself and what could I have done, and I wonder how they're doing now, and maybe I should go back to work, and hold their hand.
So caring.
Yeah.
Caring can also be a negative.
Yes, it can, because you may forget, you may not be able to live your full life because you're caring so much about work and the people that are there, co-workers and patients and everybody. Yes, so caring can be positive and negative.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah. What made you want to choose nursing as a career?
Well, I had diddled my life away for the first 3 years after graduating from high school, and my dad had passed away in 75 when I graduated from high school, and I was pretty much a flake, didn't think about money problems, any of that, because I was getting some of the Social Security money, but the Social Security money was going to end. I was living by myself, with some roommates, and I didn't even have a job at the time. So I thought, well, I better get my ass rolling somehow, because I'm not going back to Mom and Dad's house or my stepdad. That just, I was grown up. So it was kind of a subconscious choice, because my stepmom was a nurse, and so I thought, well, I can do that. So I went to nursing aid school and started out that way. And then I moved up to Salinas with my boyfriend at the time. So, but that's how my nursing career started, was by being a nurse's aide, because I was at wit's end and I wasn't going to get any more money. So that's
just gotta do it.
Yeah,
gotta do it.
Just gotta do it, and it's because my stepmom was a nurse, and so I saw when she came home with stuff like that, and I said I could do that, no problemo. So yes, that's why I became a nurse.
So what gave you the drive to stay for as long as you did?
Well, again, it was the caring. It was the pros and cons, and there were more pros. You learn more all the time about the science of it, the relations that you have with people, both at work, with your coworkers, the doctors, your patients, how work interconnects, and how it's all really about the patient, though there's different levels, and that was good. That was a good learning experience to realize the different levels, the managers of nursing, the head nurses, then you had the RNs, the registered nurses, which I was going to school for at the time when I moved up to Salinas, because I didn't want to just be a nurse's aide anymore. So I went from nurse's aide to LVN, and I forgot your question.
I said, what about nursing gave you the drive to stay for as long as you did?
Yeah, well, I just felt like it was my niche, even though I didn't realize it. When I went to nurse's aid school, it was just something I was familiar with because my stepmom did it. As I did nursing more and more, that's what gave me the drive, because I was beginning to realize that I did like it and I did want to do it more, and that's why I went on to LVN school, to licensed vocational nursing, which is a degree below registered nursing. And so I learned a whole lot there, being a licensed vocational nurse, that some RNs don't learn because it's more patient care. So anyways, that's what gave me the drive to stay in hospital nursing.
So you would say, I mean, my next question was nursing a passion, or was it just mainly a means to a financial end? So what you're saying is, when you first got into it,
yes,
when Grandma Ruthie was a nurse, you were like, oh, she seems to be doing well on her own, like it'll help me financially, the money's running out from Dad, oh crap, I have to do something fast. So it started as like, this will really help me financially,
yes.
But what made you want to keep going is because it turned into a passion.
Yes, absolutely. In the very beginning, it was just like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? The money's running out. Now I have to be an adult.
When I first started talking about maybe getting into nursing, I saw it as financial too, and I was hoping that it would do something like what it did with you. Like, this is the bee's knees. Like, I'll probably be great at this. I know I'd be great at patient care.
I think you would also.
But even when, like, I get a, splinter, or when I cut my finger open that one time, and all of a sudden I'm like, it makes me doubt my whole career path.
Well, even being a nurse, when you hit your head on that bar, I lost all my nursing ability, and I was like a blunted mom. I just, and then when it happens to your own kid, you're no longer a nurse with a practical mind and thinking very
She's
logical.
Dead. She has to be dead.
I just remember running a lot. Lay down. how do you feel? But it wasn't. It was like, oh shit. My daughter just ran into the pull-up bar, and yeah. So I can understand what you're saying.
You really think you're qualified until you get into a real life situation and you're like, crap, this is gonna suck.
That's true.
Was it rewarding both mentally and physically?
Yes. I don't know what you mean by physically, but it was definitely rewarding mentally.
Well, I mean physically, like practical application. Like when you get into situations that most people wouldn't know how to handle. Like, for example, when I get sick and you tell me to drink Sprite and, or like just today, whenever I get a headache and to pop out 2 aspirin and 3 Advil and like a cup of coffee, like practical application, like how you've been able to, if I call you and something's wrong with me and I just tell you, you're like my own mom Google.
Yeah.
I don't even need to search for things. I'm like, oh, anything that goes wrong with Corey, I say, call Mom. I don't know what to tell you. If I look on the internet, I'll think I have cancer or something. So
So I did learn the ways that you nurse, and which gave me more knowledge the more that I nursed, and you do learn different ways, because you're actually, different ways to take care of your body, because you're actually nursing all the time. So you know that you're going to end up with a backache if you're just leaning over or twisting to help move a patient or pick up something. So you learn simple things like don't bend over to pick something up. Don't twist when you're pulling any weight. What you have to do is squat down actually and use your leg muscles to get you right back up, and you'll have a lower chance of getting backaches or strains or
even that you taught me.
Aww.
Lift with your legs, not with your back. And then every time that I would throw my back out, you'd be like, well, did you lift with your legs?
And you probably told me something silly like,
no.
Well, Mom, how do I lift with my legs? How can I, pick something up with my toes? So.
Okay, how did you balance leisure time and work? Because I know that you always tell me about the long hours that you worked at the hospital and stuff. And also at, Disney and Fox.
Yeah. Well, again, we can go back to the other question and answer about the cons and bringing work home with you. So
that would cut into your leisure time. Did you have any hobbies that made it easier for you to cut loose? Like, even if that was, before Dad and I or whatever, did you have any hobbies?
Yes.
Because I'm your entire existence.
Yes, so. I know.
Your whole reason for living at this point. But before me, when your life really started.
Or when it really sucked. That's what you think. No, I mean before you.
Oh, yeah,
that's
absolutely.
What you think. Little does she know.
I'm right.
Yes, hobbies. I like to walk a lot. I like to macrame. I like to do pottery. I like to do weaving. These are all things that I was doing just haphazardly. I didn't have a loom, but I did work with a loom in high school. But yeah, little things like that, and with my plants, even decorating my little 1-bedroom apartment, trying to get myself out and look around. When I had a car, when I didn't have a car, I was riding my bike, not a Harley, a bicycle, and
so that's how you would balance your time. You would kind of force your mind to disconnect from work by doing
Yes.
something else.
And just by learning to do that,
Right.
over time, you just learn. You did the best you could at work, and now you're going to enjoy your own personal life in different. I had friends too.
You had friends?
Yes. And so
News to me.
they would come over and we'd talk. We might do something more than talk. But yeah, I was still in my 20s.
Right.
Yes. So yes, I had a life.
Okay. If you had to do it all over again, what would you change?
I wouldn't have had children.
Liar!
I wouldn't have gotten married. I would have married a man who likes to travel.
She would have married Paul McCartney,
Yes.
if we're being serious.
And then there were a lot of well, I didn't, you know what? I didn't want to get married. I was very happy living by myself and, with my friends. I've always been real close to my family, and I had 3 brothers and 1 sister, and actually they've all passed away. So that was difficult for me, and I'm very close with my mom. She's 84 and she lives only an hour away, and Normandy lives real close to her.
Yep.
Yeah, so again, I forgot the question.
If you had to do this all over again, what would you change?
If I had to do it all over again, and what
if
would
you
I...
would change anything.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I really like, just in hindsight, they always say, you can see how things that you thought were going terribly, how am I going to get through this? Well, and then you look back and you say, I had to go through all that to get where I am today in a good, positive way.
Would you have changed careers? Or do you think that you have found your calling? Like, that's what you were made to do?
Yes, I do think that I was made to do that. That was my calling. As I got a little older, my calling wasn't necessarily to work in hospitals anymore.
Right.
And I was able to go work for the studios, and then and because I was an RN, I was able to work in the medical departments over at Fox, 20th Century Fox, and then over at Disney, and that was a whole different, that's industrial nursing, and that was a whole different aspect of nursing that I had to learn again, which was fun. It was a different form of nursing, and a bit less stressful.
I used to like visiting you in the studios. I never got to visit you in the hospitals, but the studios were awesome.
Yeah, that was nice.
How did you make time for a family with having your career?
That was very good. I do have a wonderful husband who's also a wonderful father to Normandy.
Best dad in the whole entire world. The most best dad.
Yeah. And so I would work, my husband would work days, and then I would work the evening shift. So I'd take care of Normandy in the daytime, and then Bruce, my husband, would take care of Normandy in the nighttime. And until I got home. So it really was we both helped each other out with that. And of course, Normandy was absolutely, she was a great kid. She was, I never wanted children, but she was the best child. Honestly, you're listening to a parent, but she was the best kid there could be. Of course, we went through our problems. during the teenage years, but what parent doesn't? And what kid doesn't? So they don't like us and we don't like them when they're acting not in the way we taught them or thought they should. But this is life all around the world. So yes.
But how did you you said that you worked in the days and you worked in the nights and Dad worked during the days, but where did that leave time for you guys to be married?
You mean for our relationship together?
If you're trading off and compensating for childcare pretty much, did that take a toll on your relationship? Or did you work towards a point where you can both have the same time off? I know that's even something that Corey and I struggled with when he worked nights. We don't have any kids, and that broke my spirit, not being able to, because he's my partner and everything, so it sucks. I would want to go do things and he'd be exhausted and he couldn't, even on our days off, we had different sleep schedules. It was terrible. So how was that with your marriage during that time where you guys worked separate shifts?
We had some of those times like you and Corey have, definitely. And we had to work through that, like all couples have to work through challenging times in their marriage and then their marriage with children. You look like you're falling asleep.
No, I'm not falling asleep.
I'm sorry.
I just never thought that you would have any, I don't know, any issues just because you guys have been married for
but we were only married we were only together and married for 2 years when you were born. So our lives as our 4 years of being still single but together were different. After we got married and then after you were born, it was different, but it was enriched.
So you switched to nights when I was born, so that...
Yes, we could...
So prior to that, you guys had this pretty much the same schedule. You guys could hang out after work, fall asleep together, watch movies together, stuff like that.
Yeah, mostly. I worked for the studios back then also, and worked on location, so almost always. And I loved construction better, because when you're working on production, they go for 18 hours a day, and I just wasn't crazy about production. It's just over and over and over, take and take and take. But working for construction, you were off at 3, usually off by 3, and you go in at 6. And I just love to watch people make things and things that look real, and then they'd go use them for a set. And I was probably, living the HGTV life before HGTV was even conceived or made into reality. So yes.
I reaped the benefits of your career when you let me go on set of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
That was awesome, seeing the ships and how the ship wasn't made at all on the outside, but then it was plywood on the outside, and then when you walked inside you felt like you were underwater. And then on a completely different set lot, it was the outside of the ship, but the entire thing was hollow. Yeah. And then they had a miniature one for when they were using the green screen. I thought that was super interesting. So I know that you didn't like production, but at least at the studios, being able to see the sets, that was super awesome.
That's neat. And I can see how it would be very mesmerizing and amazing for a younger child. Yeah, but you weren't there all day long.
Yeah, you're right.
And everybody has a script that they're working on, and so they're always kissing everybody's butt to see if maybe they can get their screenplay or their script or whatever. made into their movie or their TV show.
So what my favorite part of your career is not your favorite part. So this moves right into my last question, which is, what was your favorite part about your career? What was your favorite time of your career? Most rewarding, you feel like?
Well, the hospital nursing was very rewarding. There was the patient care was different. But then when I started to work on the medical departments, well, it was rewarding when I was on location, it was rewarding to watch construction. But when I started working in the medical departments, that was very rewarding. It was like a lot of nurses say that they like working ER because you can help the person make it better, cure them or fix their boo-boos and all that, and then they're gone. You'd still visit with them. Sometimes they just come in and say hi, but it was like ER nursing. You fix their boo-boos. You took care of people that are having if they had diabetes and they were getting low blood sugar, you'd reply to the different sets as grips were working up high, the cameraman, even the cast, you have to do things. So I found that very rewarding, and that it was less stressful, so that I did come home, and I was working days then, so I did come home and was able to spend time with my husband and my sweet little thing here. That was my most rewarding time, in order to help people at work and to help and love people here. Everything was good. The co-workers, fixing and helping the people. I even did the workers' comp paperwork. Yeah, there were a lot of facets going on in my life. But
so your favorite part of nursing
is nursing.
Was not Hawaii.
Oh.
Because that's what made me want to do nursing, was when you told me that I could travel and get paid to do it.
Yes. That was the most bitchin' part of my life. Because I was working as an LVN up in Salinas at Natividad, and I had one of my she was a student with me at the nursing college when we were becoming LVNs. And she was going back to Hawaii. She had been there before, and she was going to go back and live with her ex-husband, believe it or not. And she kept on telling me, "Oh my gosh, there's so many bougainvilleas here, and they're just growing wild all over Hawaii." And it wasn't me that went for the job. Just one day, the head of nursing in the like the baby nursery, not so much with delivery, but taking care of the infants, and then also it was half med surg. So I take care of the infants. We still had them in a room where they'd go into the nursery instead of taking the babies right to mom. So I got that part, and I also got to help the patients who were either acutely ill or chronically ill or just in and out. Anyways, I forgot to say, so she called me up on the phone from Hawaii, and she asked me if I would like to come and work in Kauai at Lihue Hospital. And she asked me what kind of experience I had, all this, and I probably said something, well, I don't have the money to fly over there. She goes, oh, no, don't worry about that. We'll pay for you to come over. And then we also have a place that our newcomer nurses can stay at the nursing cottage, which is right there next to the water. And that's where I lived with some other nurses for 3 months until I got my own place with some other co-working nurses. One worked in the ward with me, and the other one also did somewhere else in the hospital, but she and her boyfriend lived with us. But she was an actual traveling nurse, and she came from the East Coast of the United States, and that's just what she did. She traveled from city to city after her contract was over, wherever she was at the time. So yes, I don't even know how that slipped my mind. It's probably because my husband does not like to travel, and that was in 1982 that I went there, and I only stayed a year. But yes, the favorite part of nursing was being accepted to go, because then it made me feel like, I was worth something.
I am qualified.
Yes, I am qualified. Or this head of nursing is bat crazy. So yes. How could I? Every aspect of my nursing has had a lot of pros, some cons, and it's been very diversified. But yes, now that you bring up Kauai, because I've been trying to go back there since '83. That was too friggin' long to think about, I know. So I was so happy when Normandy went over there and just kind of hung out with her friends. And that's the same thing my dad did too in 1969. He was our weekend dad, and in 1969 he says, I'm selling everything, and I'm just going to go over to Hawaii. I'm going to pick up some work in construction. He knew a little bit about construction, and I'm just going to go live off the land. And it sounded great to us kids, and my mom and my stepdad thought that, what dad does this, but he was back in a year, and it was fantastic stories, just, I always wanted to go to Hawaii, so I got there.
Through nursing.
Yes, through nursing.
Okay, I think that I got everything that I need. And thanks for doing this for me. I appreciate you. And it's super cool to know somebody who's in kinesiology in my family. And that's it. That concludes this interview with Normandy and my mom, Robin McLeod Jones.
Or McLeod.
Jones. Thanks.
Thank you. Nice to be talking to you.